If you have a sales rep that is underperforming and you are still giving them a chance, you are not leading your company, you are leaking. You're leaking time, money, energy, and precious leads. The rule is simple. You know this, and every founder should know this as well. Hire slow and fire fast. That should be the motto of your company, but sometimes it is super hard to understand, and there's a lot of intricacies that goes into that. So today I'll show you how that mindset could literally save your actual company. So in this video, we'll uncover why founders basically fire too slowly, even when the data screams otherwise, right? And we're also going to uncover the math of how one single underperforming rep can cost you anywhere from, $30,000 to $45,000 in top line revenue. And we're also going to uncover the real meaning of hiring slow. And guess what? It is not procrastination, I can tell you that much. And we're also going to uncover why fire fast is actually an act of leadership and not cruelty, and how to deal with that mentally as a founder as well, since firing people is not always the best thing and it's not always fun, right? And finally, we're gonna uncover a shortcut and basically how Sales Match keeps you from ever second guessing your hiring decisions. By the end of this video, you'll know how to handle underperformers really quickly and swiftly and protect your revenue, morale, and lock in top tier talent fast. So let's uncover why founders hire too slowly. So the first reason is there is a big emotional attachment, right? You get your first hire, or maybe that closer is your first hire, right? But you realize they're shortly not keeping up with KPIs, but you've built a great relationship with this person, might know their family, and it's an extremely hard decision. Right? A lot of our founders might, validate this by, oh, they're a good person, or you feel responsible for them, or you're putting food on their plate, right? But you hope that they will improve over time. But deep down, you're stalling because you do not have a better option lined up to replace them, right? Which is always super important that you have backups and replace the bottom feeders of your sales team. And that is for a bunch of reasons that I've mentioned in another video that you can probably find to the right or left of this video here. But you have to continuously replace the bottom, basically low-hanging fruit on your sales team, right? Hey guys, quick reminder, if you're sitting there watching this and you're wondering, well, where the heck can I get sales talent and elite sales talent from? We here at Sales Match will do the vetting for you. We'll call ex-bosses, we'll do mock call interviews, we'll do all of that on your behalf, and then you get to pick the cream of the crop finalist. So if you're in need of a setter or an elite closer, click the link down below, schedule a free consultative call. Let's see if we can help you. But other than that, let's get right back to the video. Because if you do not, right, and you keep stalling, your leads are slowly dying, your revenue is flat, and your morale of your total sales team will be tanking, right? Because every month of waiting, that just compounds the damage that has already been done, right? So let's just run through some math really quickly. Now, imagine you have a pipeline that is worth 100K in deals, right? And you have your top closer closing at a 25% close rate, right? That is $25,000 a month in top line revenue that you should be bringing in, right? But let's just say the new closer has not been ramped up to KPI and he or she is closing at a 10% close rate. That is $10,000 a month that they are bringing in. And that shortfall, or the delta between your top closer and your closer that you just hired, is about $15,000, right? Now, if we stretch that over 3 months, which generally it takes more or less that long before you can really evaluate if they're a top closer, unless you're hiring and working through Sales Match. But if we stretch that over 3 months, you're down to $45,000 that is just flushed down the toilet. Not only, and that also doesn't include the cost of the leads that goes into that. As you know, if you have a 100K pipeline, right, and your top closer is closing at 25%, and the closer you just hired at, is closing at a 10%, right, close rate, that's $25,000 in revenue minus $10,000, that's a $15,000 delta, but that does not include the cost for those leads, right? So your delta is way more than 45,000, or not actually your delta, your opportunity cost of a bad hire is well above $45,000 in this example that I'm using, right? So again, that's real money, that's real leads, and that is a lost momentum, and your morale and the culture of the company will change if if you tolerate mediocrity, which is extremely bad, and we'll get into that. Now, let's uncover why hiring, or what hiring slow actually means in your business today. Now, hiring slow does not mean you procrastinate while your pipeline shrivels, right? It means being super intentional about certain things, right? You have to define crystal clear KPIs, for all of your sales reps to, abide by and to follow, right? These KPIs need to be discussed in your morning huddles, right? When you have your huddles with your salespeople, you should have a leaderboard, and you should be going over that leaderboard to create a competitive environment, right? You also have to ensure that your new hire, you have to ensure that there's a cultural fit there, right? Some people and some salespeople are just not going to jive with each other, and neither are some salespeople going to jive with the actual owner, right? But if you ensure that they actually are a good cultural fit and they bring some sort of positivity to the team, that is super important, right? You also have to test them prior to putting them on live calls, right? Test them on things such as objection handling strengths, right? Their past performances, right? Or their background, where have they worked from before? Have you called references to ensure that, the person that is not just putting a face up on the interview and they're actually a killer closer, right? Have you talked to their previous employers, right? And figured out why they're not working there before, right? Or anymore, I should say, right? And you have to, again, this goes into confirming their track record with similar offers, right? Are they a good fit? Are they going to fit into your culture? Are they actually going to close deals? These are all super important topics, right? And finally, you have to run through the numbers. Like anything in life, you've probably heard this saying, once you shake more hands, more money will come your way, right? It is the same thing in the recruitment process. I talked to some founders and I asked them, why do you think you haven't found top talent, right? And they'll either say something like, well, I don't know where to find them, I don't have the time, which is the biggest thing we deal with. But ultimately, when I ask them the question, how many people did you interview? And they'll say, oh, I talked to about 15, 20 people. That is not enough. You have to talk to enough applicants and interview enough applicants that you actually have a good quality pool to pick from, right? Again, you don't need to run the entire process manually. You just need to filter and trust your gut, right? That is why, Fortune 500 companies have HR departments that they employ people just strictly to find top talent, right? But again, at founders at our level here, if you have a small or medium-sized business, we cannot afford a full-time hiring manager, right? And that's exactly where sales rep or sales match comes in, is we replace that position for you, and we take on the responsibility to find and train the top talent so that they can be a great fit within your organization. Now, let's uncover why firing fast is not harsh. It is actually leadership, right? So top founders, they actually protect momentum, morale, and their margin of the company, right? Firing quickly is not heartless. It's strategic, right? If you allow mediocrity within your company, you're telling your team it is okay, right? To just be mediocre, right? Which is a disease in your company. In addition to that, letting a bad rep or a bad fit go faster actually does them a huge favor. They can move on to a role that actually suits them better, right? While you protect your company's culture and cash, in addition to that, also your company's morale, right? Now, here at Sales Match, we solve that problem for founders, right? So this is pretty much how, Sales Match becomes your hiring manager and how we become your safety net, right? We vet talent long before they get in front of you, right? We also source from a massive pool of closers, setters, and SDRs, right? We conduct a lot of interviews, right? And grill them on their background, filter them for, their tech stack, you know, their background, what they have done before, were they in high ticket remote closing, what is their background, you know, what industries they've worked in, right? And guess what? If they don't close, we will replace them fast as well. Hey guys, just a quick reminder, if you are sitting there and you're looking for, you know, elite setters or closers to be plugged into your organization, but you don't know where to find them, that's exactly what we do here at Sales Match. So if you're interested in having us find salespeople on your behalf, click the link below, book a free consultation call. Let's see how we can work together, and we'll take it from there.